I'm Duncan Green. Welcome to Gym Hacks, your daily 10-minute dose of tips, techniques and innovations to make your fitness club stand out, more fun to run and more profitable. 600 seconds of takeaways that will make a difference. Our aim is to provide the very best free content on the web for you gym owners and operators. If you like our content, register for our free 6-week Exponential Growth Formula program. We're helping fitness club professionals generate the maximum revenues possible. Register below to enroll on the next program, which starts on the 1st of next month. Once you've registered, we'll send you the logins automatically. Also, check out our unique implementation service. This is a 100% done-for-you program of effective fitness club marketing, and it's supported by the strongest guarantees anywhere in our sector. Click below for details on this incredible service. But right now, let's get back to today's gym hack. So today what I'd like to look at are the 7 key numbers that shape your fitness club business. And my comment that I have is that one of the weaknesses that I see and have seen over my career working with operators is that perhaps we're still not quite as on top of our numbers as we need to be. So let's just do a very quick overview on the critical KPIs. Now, headline, your financial success is built on 3 things. Obviously, the number of customers that you have and introduce every year. And those customers have got to buy things, and your success is going to be defined by the value of the transactions that you sell and the frequency with which those customers take advantage of those transactions. And really, that in a nutshell is fitness club operations. Boosting the number of customers that you have, getting them to buy transactions of a certain value, and then repeatedly committing them to keep buying them. So you've got 3 things to do. You've got to innovate, things that they can buy, transactions they can take advantage of. Orchestration, you've got to then create the value that justify the purchase. And the third thing that you need to think about in your business is the quantification. So how do you know that what you've innovated and delivered is working? Back again to the numbers. There are 3 types of reports that you need to do. Most people, most operators, when we first start working with them, they're fine on the number 1 level report, rear view mirror reports. Rear view mirror reports are historic. They're things like what happened in last month's P&L. And they're good for that. They tell you what happened in that snapshot period of 30 days, but they're not very useful for when it comes to running subscription-based programs. You need to know where the direction of travel is taking your business. And the direction of travel is the number of people that you've got on your subscription programs, the amount of money that they're paying, and what's their likelihood of paying it into the future, how far into the future, and what's that value going to be. So you'll see perhaps the limitations on why rear view mirror reports are only good as far as they go, and you need these other 2 areas. So the second set of reports are what we call the magnification reports. And that's when you drill into your business looking for averages. What's the average number of new customers that we're getting? And there are a number of key indicators that will give you a clue to the trend of your business. And what you do with those trends is you then put them into some sort of projection report that allows you to throw out your direction of travel into the future. And that's called a binocular report. And it's very important because if you find that in the future you're never going to hit the targets that you want to achieve, then you have to go back and you have to revisit your whole model. So best to be aware as early as you possibly can so you can make the changes. So here are the 7 numbers that you need to be on top of so that you can, one, find out the trends of what's going on in your business, throw out the magnification and see where it's heading, and know whether you're on track. So the first indicator, massively important, the total number of paying members. And including in this are the 2 big areas of subscription. People who pay you on a monthly basis, direct debit, credit card, that sort of thing. And then the second group are the people who are prepaying. And you need to know at any one time in your business how many of your customers have prepaid. They're on a lump sum paid in full membership that you're going to have to renew at some point. And you need to create a way of reporting that. Now, obviously your direct debit stuff, that's fine. You'll know how many people you called for every month. You know how many people actually paid you. But what's more difficult is looking at the people who've all prepaid you. And so this is the sort of report that you need to do. So you need to lay in, and again, Excel is as good as any software that you're going to see when it comes to membership reporting. Membership administration, different. Obviously, that's great that it's online and it's the people who administer these membership, the companies are really good at this now. But the reporting is difficult, and the reporting needs to be done in Excel. And here's how you do it. So you just add in each member. 4964, Mr. Hare, he's bought a membership, cost £170. Starts on the 3rd of May, and it's going to be for a year. And what you do then is you break down that payment into the constituent number of months that they've paid for. Now, if this is an annual membership, and it looks very much like it is, then obviously you divide that 170 by the 12 payments and you lay it in. And you do that with all of your memberships. So as you can see, as you go down the page, you'll see that what happens is you can see how many members are prepaid in any single month and what the value of their apportioned membership is in that month. And that gives you a much more accurate snapshot of where your business is. Now, the second indicator that I commend to you is the average membership fee paid each month. What's the average yield? That's another name for it. And what you've got to do is, once you now know about all of the monthly membership revenue and the number of people who are paying you on subscription via direct debit, you can just do a simple division, and that tells you what the average DD is worth. But in order to get an average yield, you need to add in these annual prepaid payers. So total monthly collection plus the amount of apportioned prepaid members, do you remember the report we've just done, divided by the total number of contributed members. People paying you on DD, people paying you on paid in full. And that's going to give you a yield, an average yield. Okay, so you'll see at the bottom of the screen, you'll see there's a simple addition in every month of the amount of value that the members are paying on a paid in full basis and the number of members that are contributing to it. So that's how we work out yield. The third area is, of course, measuring the amount of secondary revenue generated. So, of course, another very, very important point and a huge income pot that you need to manage is secondary revenues once they've bought your core product. And in order to do that, you need to keep a spreadsheet of what's being sold in every single month. Now, you know the total number of members that you have got at any single time, so you can add the secondary spend revenue to your core membership revenue to find out what the total revenue is, and then you can divide it by the number of members that you've got in order to ascertain what a typical yield is in a month, and that's going to be significant. Now we're into the sales and marketing, and this fourth big indicator that you need to look at is the average number of new members who join each month. Now, it should be very easy to do. But one of the reports that we insist that our clients do is running a sales log. And the sales log allows a number of key jobs to be taken up. So each line is a new member joining during the course of a month. And when they sign up, there's a transaction at the front end. Now, you may call it joining fee, finance fee, all sorts of terminology for this stuff. But basically, there is a payment made into the till at the point of sale. Now, you need to know what that payment amounts to, and we need to average it out if we're going to get these trends properly and accurately accounted for. Now, the other thing that this does is it audits to make sure that the administration is not missing out on any key contracts. They don't get missed. They haven't got lost in transit between you and the administration service. You can see if you're using joining fees, whether the people signing customers up have waived joining fees and they didn't want them to, or whether they've taken it. But you'll also find that single transaction, whatever you call it, joining fee, finance fee, vitally important into recovering the costs of getting your members in the first place. So it's very, very key. Then what we do is we average all of those those first transactions out to get an average amount paid as what we class as a joining fee. It doesn't have to be called a joining fee. You could be trading specific new member programs at the front end once they've joined, and that could be your first transaction. But essentially, it amounts to how much they pay at the front end of this transaction. And we show it in the joining fee column there. It also shows you which people and the spread of options between the direct debit and your paid in full lump sum. And again, you may have particular preferences as to which you would like sold, and you can play around to see whether it's being taken in the ratios that you hope for, or if it's not, what you're going to do about it, whether it's a training issue, a pricing issue, or a marketing issue. Now, we come to the single most important indicator in any fitness club business. And this is one of the big disappointments, I think, is that most operators are not 100% on top of this number every day of their lives, and they really ought to be. It is so important. It's the average monthly attrition that your club suffers. And basically, it's the percentage of members who don't pay as a percentage of the total number of people who could have paid you. I'll say that again. It's the number of people who didn't pay you as a percentage of all of the members in that month who could have paid you. And it includes, obviously, people paying in full, and it includes direct debit. And it's vitally important because it is going to dictate a number of things. Now, you'll see the arrows here. The cancellations in the month we equate into a percentage. And in this particular report, it's in January 18, it was 5.16%, and you'll see it fluctuates each month throughout the year. But it's possible to work out an ongoing trend. And the trend is going to give you a number of key stats. It's going to be able to dictate, it will tell you that percentage number. It dictates the lifetime value of each customer that you join. Now, what that means is that when you know that you have a cancellation percentage in a month of 5.16%, an attrition figure, it's likely that your customers on average will only pay you over a 3-year window. Let's assume that that's the length of time that you want to run a report, 3 years. That if that 5.16% is the average attrition, then every customer who joins you in that 3-year period will pay you 11 times. 11 times. That's it. Fact. And how much they'll pay you, the transaction frequency is 11. How much they'll pay you, the transaction size, is a net result of the average yield from membership plus the secondary spend revenue. So you'll see why those early indicators that we talked about in that report, in this presentation earlier, are so important. Now we've got all of the revenue generated, all of those indicators. We know what our average number of new sales. We know how much they're paying when they join the club. We know how long they're staying for because we know we've charted their attrition. We know what they buy at the back end of their membership once they've joined in secondary spend. The seventh and really important indicator is how much did it cost to get them in the first place? We know what they're worth when we got them. But how much did we pay to get them? And the cost of sale, the average cost of sale, is defined as the total amount of your sales and marketing costs divided by the number of new members that you signed up. And it's most usual to chart this as a monthly payment, as a monthly number. So all of your advertising costs, any sales salary costs, any other direct cost of your sales and marketing, subscriptions to websites, databases, community groups, anything like that, all of that divided into a monthly cost and then further divided into a number by the number of new members that you sign up to give you an average cost of sale. And what you do with that cost of sale is you compare it with what your members' lifetime value is. So you see, again, why measuring attrition is so important. When you know how long a member on average is going to stay, you can work out what their lifetime value is by multiplying it by the average yield. And you compare that figure with the average cost of getting them in the first place. And if your lifetime value is, let's say for argument's sake, £300 per customer joined, and the cost of attracting a new customer is £30, then how many £30 are you likely to spend in order to turn that into a £300 customer? And obviously an unlimited amount. You would not stop spending your £30 doing the activities that are generating that sort of result if you're making a £300 return on every £30 you spend. And you see by following your numbers how it changes, transforms completely the way you feel about your marketing. You no longer see it as a fixed budget, but as a way of generating more revenue. Every time I spend £30 here on these activities, I get a £300 member. So guess what? I'm going to lump on and do a lot more. So again, maintain that spreadsheet where you put all your costs of all your sales and marketing, work out what your monthly spends are, and then divide it by your total sales made to give you a cost per sale in that month, and you can then do an ongoing trend as well. So those are the 7 numbers, and once you have those 7 numbers, then you can throw these indicators into your binocular report, your report that shows you where you're going to be heading into the future. So you can see in this particular club example, we know how many people were member of the club at the start of the report. By following the reports that we've talked about this morning, we know what the average initial transaction is, £25. We know what the average monthly yield is from paid in full members and monthly payments. We know what the monthly secondary revenues that are generated. We know the monthly sales. And we know what the monthly attrition is. So we have this, we know all of the critical drivers of your revenue. And then what this report shows is it's a spreadsheet, and it throws out over 3 years where the business is heading. And if it stays on this path with these numbers still being the averages, then at the end of this year it will do 268,000, the following year 288,000, and the following year 299,000, which gives you a total revenue over 3 years of 855. Now, the beauty of having access to these figures and running this sort of report is that you can project and you can now look into the future with clarity. If these numbers are not sufficient to feed the mouths and pay the bills, then obviously what you've got to do is alter the performance in one or more of these key indicators. And that's the beauty of tracking these 7 critical numbers. Thanks ever so much for listening. See you next time.